right, everyone, it is 5:05. I'm going to officially start our meeting. I just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight for our monthly community input meeting. My name is Ayabami Bell Torrance. I am one of the marketing outreach coordinators for DDOT. And I'm going to start now with our introductions with our DDOT staff that's joining us. No particular order tonight. Starting with Mr. Yamakura.
Hi, I'm Ricky Yamakura. I'm Manager of Data and Reporting.
Mr. Luckett.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Larry Luckett, Assistant Director of Maintenance for DDOT.
Chief.
Good evening, Chief Ricky Brown, Transit Police.
Mr. Mallett.
Good evening, everyone. Andre Mallett, Superintendent of Operation here at DDOT.
Mr. Luckett.
I already went.
I'm sorry, I'm looking as I see. Mr. Lozen, thank you.
I'm Don Lozen, the ADA coordinator.
Mr. Kowski.
Hi, Kristen Lukowski, also on the marketing team.
Ms. Wimberly.
Good evening. I'm Zandra Wimberly, Assistant Director, Administration.
Ms. Schofield.
Good evening, everyone. Gina Schofield, Scheduling.
Ms. Taylor Hendricks.
Hi, everyone. Mickey Taylor Hendricks with Scheduling and Service Development.
Ms. Donahue.
Hi, everyone. Deanna Donahue, Grants and Planning Coordinator.
Ms. Walsh.
Good evening, everybody. Marianne Walsh, Interim Deputy Director for Administration at DDOT.
All right, did I miss anyone? Trying to browse through. Okay, I do want to acknowledge our interpreter tonight, Mr. John Harvey. Thank you. Okay. Let's go now into our meeting rules, which are pretty simple. We just ask that you hold all your public comments to the end. There'll be time for that. The chat will also remain closed until that time. Once we do open it up, we just ask that no personal attacks, no foul language. And please be respectful of the time. We allow 2 minutes, and we would like to be more strict tonight on that 2 minutes. So after 2 minutes, you will be muted. I will give you a 1 minute warning and a 15-second wrap to give you time, and then let you know that your time is up. And the chat will be available again if you run out of time, and if time permitting, you will be allowed to ask another question. And I believe that is all for the rules. I'm going to turn now. We do have just a few updates. So give me 1 moment, please. I guess tonight, some of these are a little bit more of a reminder, but I do want to go ahead and give you what we do have for department updates. So if you're not aware, this service changes did take place on Monday, February 8th. There were 3 routes that were affected, the 5 Van Dyke Lafayette, the 9 Jefferson. Both of those, the weekday headway returned to 15 to 17 minutes, and the 38 Plymouth additional trips were added. So these were minor changes, but they were improvements to those routes. When it comes to the State Fair Transit Center updates, if you weren't aware, we did release the equity analysis, and it is available on the website, as well as the confirmation of the location. And I'll also put that information in chat, but again, that is on that website, detroitmi.gov/DDOT State Fair. So if you have not got a chance to look at that, that is available there. Both of those are under the documents section. And this is also just a reminder, if you're not aware, with the Rosa Parks Transit Center, the extended hours do remain for public restroom use at Rosa Parks Transit Center from 7 a.m. to midnight. Again, that's just for use of the restroom. The lobby does remain closed due to the COVID-19 health regulations. That is all I have. I do, before we open it up to public comments, I do want to give any of my colleagues who are join us tonight a chance to provide any updates that we may have missing, if you have any.
Thank you. This is Chief Brown, Transit Police. Real quick, our calls for service are very minimal, which is a good thing. Any report from me that doesn't have a lot is a good thing. Our biggest problems thus far have been very minor, disorderly conduct kind of things regarding masks of that nature, but no significant incidents or crime to report throughout the city and at our transit centers. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great news. Anyone else?
Really quickly, hi everyone. I just want to reiterate the update on the service change. So if you are someone who rides either the 5 Lafayette Van Dyke, the 9 Jefferson, or the 38 Plymouth, please pick up a new schedule, as there are new arrival times for those routes with these service improvements. Schedules are available in hard copy form at the Rosa Parks Transit Center, as well as on our website if you just would like to download it. And that's all. Thank you.
Just a couple of things for maintenance. Again, Larry Luckett. We did hire in the last 2 weeks 5 mechanics. We're still, of course, looking to hire more mechanics, along with bus cleaners, which are our CSAs. We continue to sanitize and clean buses during these trying times. We continue to put masks on buses. So we're charging along. So appreciate everyone coming out. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we will move now to public comments. We will acknowledge just as we see the hand raised, so please keep your hand raised until we get to you. Right now, my assistant's colleague Kristen, if you can help me.
Yep. The first hand up I saw was Robert Pavlovsky.
Can you guys hear me at all?
We do.
Okay, sounds good. Hope you guys are having a great day and a great week so far. I'd like to thank Iobami for reaching out to me via email. Hopefully that email went through on any other suggestions for you guys I might have. But I want to let Iobami know that I registered with another email today. So if you contact me for any other suggestions, the email that I used tonight for registering, I would suggest you use that one, because that's the only one I'm using at this point to respond to emails. Other than the fares, I'll be looking forward to some information on your guys' Instagram and Twitter for the charging of the fares, the fare box, and everything else. But the one issue I have at this point is for students. I have a state ID, and every time I get on your guys' system to get the reduced fare, I always show the driver my state ID. The driver looks at me like I'm crazy because I don't have the DDOT student ID card. And it doesn't even, and unlike with Smart, you could show them your state ID card and they'll give you the fare automatically. But when it's on DOT, they don't give you it. They just charge you it, even though it gives you your proof, it gives you your date of birth and everything else to qualify for the reduced fare. It doesn't even say it on your guys' website if you guys accept state ID or not. That is something I want you guys to take a look at, because if somebody is coming out of the suburbs from a Smart bus transferring to a DDOT bus, it would be easier for them to like show them the state ID and they can qualify for the fare if they don't have a DDOT student ID card.
1 minute.
And that would be that would be a little bit easier and less frustration, especially for students that do not have the student ID card that come from the suburbs and all they have is either a state ID or a school ID from another school district in the Detroit area. That's something I want you guys to take a look at indefinitely, especially since fairs are going to be coming back around March 1st, March 15th is what I'm hearing. But other than that, that's really the only concern I have. But I want to move on to compliments that I was going to mention in last month's meeting, which I didn't have the ability to because of the time frame that you guys had. I wanted to give you compliments on getting the bathrooms back open from past 7 p.m. over to midnight. It's going to help out the passengers a lot, especially people that are traveling around the nightly range. It'll be easier
15.
for them. I congratulate you guys on that. And also the app that I just saw on the City of Detroit's page and the App Store. I want to give you guys a congratulations on that, especially Ricky Yamaker and the whole DDOT team. Really good job with that. If I had the chance to give you guys a medal, I would give you guys a medal for that app. It's really good. I love it. It's better than the transit app. I'm going to throw it out there. But really good job with that app. Really good job with that app, guys. Really good job. The only issue is tracking the buses. They don't show up on the map on the app. It's very occasional. Like, let's look at 41 Schaefer and Livernois. If the buses are going northbound and southbound, it's hit and miss that you see them on the map to track them. It doesn't matter what the schedule is. It's
That is time.
okay. I'll finish up if there's more time.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
So I just wanted to respond to the reduced fare. Our reduced fare is applicable to students with a student ID that have the DDOT reduced fare card. So for DPSC students, they have a special ID that the school gives them if they qualify for reduced fare. And if you don't have that specific ID, you can get a reduced fare card from DDOT, but we absolutely require that you have the DDOT reduced fare card in order to receive the reduced fare on DDOT buses.
Yeah, the problem I have is this was before the pandemic hit and all this, when you guys were charging fares, and the drivers looked at me like I was crazy, even though Smart will give you that reduced fare. If
Robert,
you have a
so I just want
student
to reiterate, the requirement for DDOT buses is that you have a DDOT reduced fare card. I understand you're saying that with Smart, you can show your state ID. That is not the policy for DDOT. We do require transit riders who receive and qualify for reduced fare to have the proper reduced fare card. So I understand that you're saying that with Smart, you don't have to have that, but that is a DDOT policy. And you can receive a reduced fare card even if you're not in a DPS school district by getting it through DDOT.
Okay. It's just, I've been having that problem for years. I didn't know it was a policy.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All righty. I have more things, but I'm going to let other people speak because I know my time has been up. Thank you, guys.
Okay, the next hand up I saw was Victoria Burnett. You can unmute yourself.
Good evening, this is Victoria Burnett. Glad to be here in front of you guys. One of the first things I'd like to address, and I think I've addressed it each time, I'm glad to see the names and the faces, but after you guys introduce yourselves and further on during the meeting, I confuse who is who or from what department. And I'm quite sure some of us other ones would appreciate knowing what department you're speaking from rather than trying to remember and recall at the beginning of the meeting. So it would really be appreciative if the ones that don't would put up what department you're in so that we can recognize you when you speak as to what department. The next thing I'd like to address is this fares. You guys are talking about us paying fares, but the fares don't pay for the buses. So what is the big rush? I think more importantly would be to get the buses up and running properly and then address getting my dollar for fares. I would appreciate that being well noted.
1 minute.
Because DDOT, to my understanding, does not get the money from my fares. If I'm wrong, correct me. That's
Hi.
all.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I thought you were.
Yeah, so I think I can address some of that. So, so yes, DDOT does use the fare box revenue as part of our expenses. And currently, the question, I guess, is why are we collecting fares again? And for the sustainability of our transit system, it is imperative that we commence collecting fares again. And we originally had a date of back in January. And however, we delayed that due to the safety of our operators. So we have undergone a three-pronged approach to deal with those issues with our operators. First, we began to distribute masks. Secondly, we installed barriers for the protection of our operators. And we have also began installing hand sanitizer dispensers so that everyone can have hand sanitizer. And then we also started the vaccination program for all of our operators. And these measures are put in place to help keep our operators safe and so that we can resume front door operation and begin collecting fares in the near future.
Okay, Mr. Mallet, well, what department are you with?
I do apologize, Ms. Burnett. I'm Andre Mallet and I'm with operations.
Okay, thank you much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think we can go ahead.
The next hand up I saw was Larry Verse.
Good evening. Of course, I'm Larry Donald Verse with Detroit's People's Platform Transit Justice Team and its Transit Walks Work Group. And I have a serious problem with the raising of the fares. It seems to be rather backwards, really. Because if you're trying to help the community, you're defeating it because the overwhelming majority of essential workers, as we call them, are not at the top of the pay grade. They're at the bottom of the pay grade, to tell the truth. And you're talking about charging them when they have additional expenses taking care of their family. Because even where they work, even if they give them masks and gloves and sanitizer, that does not provide masks and gloves and sanitizer for the whole family. Now, by way of example, let me give you this. According to the Michigan State Department of Health and Human Services, caregivers, those who take care of the elderly and the handicapped, in the Detroit metropolitan area, 76% of them do not own cars. They ride the bus to get to their clients and get a ride from somebody else if they can. Understand that at a maximum, they will earn between $750 and $1,000 a month per client. And in general, that means they spend 8 hours a day, 6 days a week with a client, taking care of their groceries, their laundry, washing their body, and whatever. Now, you're telling me that you need to charge those people.
1 minute.
I see a significant problem with that. So what you're saying is we want to stop bus riders. We want to reduce the amount of essential workers that can get to work. And we want to cause the city's economy to collapse. Because a store clerk isn't there, the store isn't going to operate. If I can't make it to McDonald's, who's going to give you your burger? Come on now, get real. You're saying, basically, down with the people and
Please
up
wrap.
with department dollars. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Verse. I'm Andre Mallet from operations again, and I'll kind of speak to that because I introduce the returning of fare collection soon. So let's be clear that there is no plans for DDOT to raise fares. So I did hear that there's no plan. Once again, there's no plans for DDOT to raise fare in the immediate future at all. What we're doing is simply returning to a fare structure that was already existing and that was put on a moratorium due to the pandemic. However, the city's cost is still there. And with this pandemic, we realize the financial implications that has been posed on the city. So bus service has still commenced. However, we did operate on a reduced capacity based on the social distancing policies that were put out. And we do plan on in the immediate future increasing that minimum capacity as well. So we plan in the immediate future to kind of take it up to a 50% capacity. And that still will give us about 30% of our ridership. And we are looking to undergo the fare projections that were there is still going to be a shortfall for the city. And so typically our fare box revenue equates to about $20 million out of our budget. But that still does not give us the financial stability to run the system as it currently stands.
Well, it seems that you missed the point, sir, because I think you're telling me the pandemic is over, and I never said anything about raising fares. I said recharging them, charging them again. And you're talking about people who have a problem getting around in the first place. And you're talking about increasing their expenses. Now, if the pandemic is over, I could understand that. But you're saying, well, pandemic's still here. We're still going to do this anyway. We're going to reduce the ridership, even though we have a system that seems to be crippled and doesn't operate now. And then there's the question of, well, what happened to the pandemic money that you were supposed to spend? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
So I think you're referring to the CARES Act. And so the CARES Act, those are FTA funds 5307, and that is typically put in place for operating expenses. So that does help cover costs for driver salary, fuel, PPE, and cleaning supplies. And so that is in place and is helping, but overall there's still a shortcoming. Our executive director is currently looking at DDOT's budget. He's analyzing it. And we are going to make some decisions, some tough decisions. Now, part of the reason why we have to look at this is because there is an overall city shortcoming. So in order to keep our drivers working, in order to keep our passengers moving from point A to point B, the tough decision has to be to relaunch fares in the immediate future. So all that information and data is being analyzed by our executive director. And some tough decisions are going to have to be made. And so we do get it. We do clearly understand. But in order to make this work properly, there has to be some fares that has to be collected. And one more sidebar to that. Right now, we do have quite a few people who are riding because it is totally free. You know, the city is still operating service.
I'm going to have to cut you off there because I totally disagree. I'm going to ask you, how often do you ride the bus? I ride the bus.
And Mr. Verse, your time is actually, Mr. Verse, your time is up. So he is actually just giving a response. So at the end, we can allow more, but your time is up, okay?
Thinking it works too. I understand. Thank you.
I just want to give him a chance to respond.
Right. So I do go out and ride the bus on periodic occasions, Mr. Verse, but I'm really in the office to help ensure that you have and our riding public have service out there on a day-to-day basis. However, having said that, I don't want to minimize the hard work that all the men and women here at DDOT is putting out there to actually produce this service. And so our executive director is working hard along with the mayor's office to identify where the budget shortfalls are going to be, and they're going to make some tough decisions to address those concerns.
Okay. The next hand up is Marguerite Maddox.
Thank you. And good evening. My question was in the chat, and there is another concern I have. What if do we have to show the operators the discount card, yes or no?
The other concern is, do we have to show the operators the discount card?
Yes.
Yes. So if you are boarding the bus, and when this is for when fare collection resumes. So at the moment, no. When fare collection resumes, the expectations will be the same as they were prior to the suspension of fares. So if you receive a reduced fare, you are still expected to provide the driver with that discount card, whichever reduced fare you qualify for. Just be sure to continue to show the driver that card while you board and before you pay.
But my question is, because for me, I had to walk and a service dog. So it would take a lot of time for me to get the card out, to show it, and to put it back in my pocket.
The problem is that I have a walker and a service dog, so it would take a lot of time to get the card from my pocket to show the operator.
Yes, so the policy is that they are expected to see the card. Now, if an operator allows you to board, whether that be because, you know, they know who you are, or they just recognize that it would be more difficult for you to show the card, that's fine as well. But just to reiterate, that is the policy. And again, this goes for any type of reduced fare. So for student fare, as well as senior fare and disabled fare. So if you're able to board without having to show that card, Marguerite, that's perfectly fine. But just in, you know, if it does happen, that is the policy where a driver wants to see the card.
Thank you.
Thank
And I do understand the policy. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Miss Marguerite, unfortunately,
Yes.
I'm not seeing your question, your other question. You mentioned you had another question in the chat. If you don't mind resending it, and once we see that, we'll acknowledge that as well.
It was about the discount card.
Oh, okay, so you did ask. Okay, I thought you said you had additional one.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. The next hand up is Community Development Advocates of Detroit.
Good evening. This is Ruth Johnson. Can you hear me? Want to say hello to everybody. I would reiterate and support Ms. Burnett's about identifying people. I heard Ms. Walsh say she's interim, but I didn't hear or understand what she said after that. And I wanted to say thank you for also turning on your video because I didn't know if you had left the meeting or not. So it would be helpful. And I know sometimes it's hard, even if you see, I don't have my name. Sometimes it doesn't come up with my name. I have to change it. But I think one of the ways that we can help people get to know who's who and who's what is what I've requested before, an org chart or something on your website that helps us understand who's who and what's what. I know things are subject to change, but some information other than be able to remember and understand what someone says quickly. But welcome aboard, Ms. Walsh. I also want to welcome Ms. Donahue. I have had the pleasure of working with her when she worked for SEMCOG. I don't know what she's doing, but I know it's great just because that's how she does stuff. A couple questions and comments around the State Fair Transit Center relocation. Looked at the equity analysis, wondering what kind of community education analysis, education and engagement you're going to do around the equity analysis, as well as the preferred location. I think it's very important for there to be a planned, intentional process to help people understand what are the considerations and what is going to be done during both the construction phase and when the center's up and running, and would be happy to help with that. I've already started doing research. I have not seen your excuse me, on-time performance and other statistical data that's required by city ordinance. Last time I saw it was November 2020. So I'd like to know where to find it. I think I ask this question every time because I'm always looking for it. And I, you know, it's great that, you know, Mickey or someone else sends it to me, but I would like to be able to find it on my own. As far as the budget, I am very concerned about the collection of fares, as Mr. Versus said. Mr. Mallett said 20 million. I'd be interested in knowing the percentage, because earlier this week I was asking some of my fellow advocates what the percentage was. I'm also concerned under the budget process, because I did participate in the city and state revenue conferences. I do understand there's going to be pain. But to the extent that we as riders and advocates can support the department in getting their subsidy, and I would disagree with Mr. Mallett, there is a fare increases under the bankruptcy plan of adjustment. So the last thing I'll follow up about the transportation for all
time
another time.
Hi, Ruth, just to respond to the transit center comment. So right now, that we have solidified the location, we will be continuing to circulate that information. We have some email blasts that have gone out. We have some flyers, and then we are in the works of getting the same information posted at the current transit hub. We have 2 pretty large kiosks, if you're familiar with the transit hub, that have information in them now. So we're being consistent with making sure we have updates in those kiosks. So if you are someone who uses the transit center, please take a glance at it, as there might be new updated information. We're in the process of getting those printed right now. And then once they're printed, we will have them posted. As we continue to circulate the information on the location, we are also having communication and just meetings with the other departments and teams that are working on the overall development of the site, working closely with DPW as they're responsible for the interior roads to just make sure we understand the site and we're able to collectively come to the right design that works for everybody. We also will be having meetings coming soon with SMART and MOGO to talk about how we incorporate all of the needed transit systems and mobility providers in the space. Once we start those conversations and get a little further into that, we will be doing some more engagement to continue to just keep riders engaged and making sure that the transit center does fit their needs and that they're involved and prepared for the center.
Glad to hear it, because I believe the people that I see in the Zoom meeting and my fellow riders and advocates are the best able to help figure out a lot of those things. I have a lot of respect for the people in the Department of Public Works, but I think it's quite different set of experiences and expertise with the people who work for DDOT and the other transit agencies, public transit agencies, riders and advocates. With the budget, again, happy to work to get the word out if we need to engage riders and advocates and making sure they make phone calls and emails, but I understand that things are tight.
And just for one more point of clarity, good evening, Ms. Johnson. This is Andre Mallett from operations once again. And although there may be as part of the plan of adjustment to allow a fare increase, our executive director and the mayor will make that decision. But as far as our fare restoration, that is not part of the current plan. So I just want to make sure that point is noted.
And also as a point also to your question about the performance dashboard, I put into the chat room or in the chat conversation, the link to where the performance dashboard is kept. And you'll see December's information's been up for a bit, but the January one, it usually takes us about 2 or 3 weeks. We have to have the buses report and we have to tabulate the information. The bus information comes from manual pulls from the bus fare boxes. So some of the ridership we have to assess and such, but we will have those out generally no later than the 21st or 23rd of the month following. So January will be up soon. It will be at that link. You'll be able to see it.
Thank you for that. Just an FYI, if I wasn't on this meeting and I looked for it like I have looked for it, what tab, how would I find it without you? I guess is my question.
It's called the Performance Dashboard under the Department of Transportation website. So let's see. You know, it's funny. I would just say, like, in the search bar, you'll probably find it under Performance Dashboard. I tell you, I have a page link saved in my bookmarks. I apologize. And I just Googled Detroit, you know, DDOT Performance Dashboard, and it came up. So I just went to it from that. But
you can also go to it on the side. Excuse me for interrupting, just trying to assist too. So thank you for putting that link in there. But if you go to the website, to the side tab, you'll see that DDOT Performance Dashboard. You can click on that, and then you click on the title, it'll bring it to you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next hand up is Big Cash.
Hey, how's it going? I'm speaking on behalf of Cunningham. And when I got there, it's like, because the buses are not being cleaned properly, we need somebody to do like a third-party auditor. We need somebody to be brought in and see what's going on, because we got a lot of those community activists out there that's doing for us, but they really not doing a lot for us because it's not really working out for us. So we don't really know what's going on, but we really need a lot of people to help us keep the buses clean and keep us everything going over like just like that.
Was there any particular
the buses properly?
Was there any particular bus that you had an issue with?
Yeah, the Woolworth bus coming from State Fair, usually around this time every day, because I'm on the bus now.
Okay, I'll respond to that question. Larry Luckett, Assistant Director for Maintenance for DDOT. So the bus that you're on currently, you have that bus number?
No, I just got off of it like maybe 5 minutes ago before we had joined this meeting. But if I would have knew I would have saved everything.
Okay, I will look that up. But we do
sanitize properly neither. Like when you like pay attention at the state fairgrounds, and I don't even think it's guys at the state fairgrounds that get on the bus that clean them. But I know downtown and on Macamore Ross, all they do is like just spray something on some handles or the cord. They're not even like getting trash off the bus or nothing like that to that nature.
Okay, so let me address that for you. The folks that you see at the end of the lines that are sanitizing the buses, that's for the health and safety of all of our passengers and our drivers. So they're tasked with getting on, wiping all the high touch areas, and they only take in 4 or 5 minutes to do so as the driver do his layover. Once that bus get back, let me finish. Once the bus get back to the depot, then it's cleaned for the next service day. Okay, so we're trying to hire enough staff to be able to do some type of midday cleaning, because what's happening is that bus is out there probably 10 hours a day. By the time you get to the bus, it may be some trash on the bus. So we are looking at avenues of trying to come up with a remedy to help in that area.
Okay. The next hand up I see is Cunningham. You can unmute yourself. Cunningham, you're up. Oh, there you are.
Cunningham, can you hear us? We can't hear you. You're muted.
We're getting let's maybe come back.
Cunningham, we'll come back to you. Next is Jamie Jr.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Jamie Jr., transit advocate with Detroit People's Platform and disability justice advocate with Warriors on Wheels of Metropolitan Detroit. I would like to raise concerns regarding the fare, the recharging of the fare. At this point, I know it hasn't started yet, but I do think that it would cause undue hardship to many folks that depend on the bus and folks that depend on them. As was stated, many healthcare workers or healthcare providers for those of us with disabilities ride the bus. And if they can't afford to ride the bus to get to us, they can't help us. So by extension, we suffer. Additionally, the last time I was on this meeting, there was a conversation that the fares were being charged to alleviate joyrides. I would like to go on record as saying that I resent the narrative of joyriders because there's no way for a person to determine who is and is not joyriding on the bus. Additionally, if a person is found to be joyriding because possibly they don't have access to housing or heat in their home, you are in effect punishing them for their poverty, which is not a good practice. I would suggest that if those things are found, possibly you could look into some wraparound services for individuals, such as connecting them to shelters, connecting them to someone that could assist with their needs. I think as a city and departments, we should be looking to help as opposed to punish. Thank you.
Good evening, Jamie. Andre Mallet from Operations. And so I want to kind of chime in. So I totally understand where you come from as it relates to, you know, people that appears to have joyride, as it's been denoted. However, we do and have identified reverse riders. So people that just stay on for duration of a trip and they want to stay on the coach and continue to ride. And albeit there are a lot of issues with homelessness in our city, and we are very empathetic and sympathetic to that, our charge is to run public transportation, to do that fiscally responsible as possible. And so we have to help. By no means will we ever, you know, say that it's not our cause to reach out to supporting agencies and the structure that's put in place to address those concerns, but that is not the charge for DDOT. But we are in position to reach out to all the partners and all the social agencies that's out there that provide those type of assistance and services for the public, and we will direct them to that.
Okay, this is Chief Brown, Transit Police. I'd just like to follow up on that real quick. When we respond to locations, including the transit centers, if we determine someone is in need of help, we do have programs established and contacts, and they are directed and sometimes transported to those facilities. So we are very mindful of that, and we assist when we can if the citizens cooperate.
Okay. The next hand up I see is Mason.
Hi, my name is Mason. I'm a member of the Motor City Freedom Riders. And I just wanted to ask, I don't know if I missed this in a previous response, whether there is in fact a definitive planned date for restoration of fares at this point. And then also just want to say that I think an element of this conversation that's being left out of the discussion of whether or not DDOT should restore fares is that we're not up to like the prior levels of service yet, and riders to be expected to pay full fare for far less frequent and often full bus service. And we had a town hall of bus riders a couple of weeks ago, just kind of like talking about our experiences with these different problems. And this is one of the issues that people brought up. And I think there would probably be some widespread outrage at the prospect of having to pay full fare for far less than full service. So I would just urge you all to consider delaying restoration of fares until DDOT is actually running its full service levels. Thank you.
Good evening, Mason. Andre Mellon from Operations. And so we don't have a date. We are allowing the decision to be made from the executive level. Our executive director is analyzing all the data, and we look to do it in the immediate future, but there's no date set in stone at this point.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, the next hand I see up is Barbara Shearer.
Miss Barbara, can you hear me? Miss Barbara was down at the Rosa Parks Transit Center, and she is a senior citizen, and she wants to speak. She had no idea how to do this. And ma'am, here you go. Look at the good people.
Have y'all cut some of the buses out, the Woodward and the 4th Street? Because I have to wait a long time for those buses. 16 Dexter runs really, really good, but not those two lines.
I'm sorry, can you repeat those routes?
Want to comment?
Is that Woodward and Fort? Is that correct? We're saying this slow?
Woodward and 4th Street.
So are you saying that, are you looking at the arrival times for the buses and the buses aren't showing up? Or are you saying you're just, you've noticed that they're not running as frequently?
They're not running as frequently.
Okay.
And those are the buses I take to work and home.
Yes, ma'am. So
Woodward, I'm 70 years old and I still work.
Yes, ma'am. So Woodward, the 4 Woodward bus, we have improved the frequency since okay. So DDOT has reduced frequency on a lot of our routes due to COVID and trying to maintain this service dealing with the pandemic. We have recently added service to a lot of those routes, including 4 Woodward. So that route should be during peak hour, still running at about every 12 minutes. Now, if you're traveling in the middle of the day or in the evening, well, night actually, that service level reduces quite a bit. So I always suggest referring to a bus schedule to make sure you know what time the bus is scheduled to come. The 19 Fort route is not as frequent as Woodward or the 16 Dexter, but it is still pretty frequent. So again, I would just refer to the schedule to make sure you know what time the buses are expected to arrive.
So you say they arrive every 12 minutes.
During peak hour, yes. So between 6
They're
a.m.
not doing the evening. I get there a little after 5 and they run every 45 minutes, maybe Woodward. And if you get 2 buses full, then you really in trouble because you just have to stand there.
Yeah, so if you're noticing buses are coming every 45 minutes and they're not coming at their scheduled time, we would suggest calling customer service at 933-313, area code 933-1300, to both report that the bus is not there, but also you can get an update from our customer service agents that could look into where that bus is and what time it's expected to arrive.
Yeah, but when you call, they don't do anything. You still late for work. Or you're late getting home. And when they plow the snow, you can't even get to the bus stop. There's so much snow up there. Sometimes I just wait in the street. No, they don't. I'm a senior citizen.
So we will, this is Zandra Wimberly. I'm an assistant director with administration. We will take note of that, take a look, investigate, and see what we can do to improve that for you. So we'll take those notes. I oversee customer service, so we will take that information down under advisement, see what we can do to improve that.
They just don't do anything when you complain. They don't, it just remains the same. It's been the same.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is up, but as noted, we are taking what you said and she will be looking into that, okay?
Okay. We went by Cunningham. Cunningham, are you available now? Do you have a better connection?
I believe he was just assisting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. I apologize. Try again.
My back was hurting and I had to help her out with the walker. Can you please tell me when my 2 minutes starts, honorable body?
Okay, so you may start now.
All right, honorable body. How y'all doing today? Oh boy. I've been driving the cab now for a while now, and I thank God I'm warm, I'm eating. I don't have much, but I was on the bus for 8 years, and most people forget about where they come from when they get off the buses. The 7-mile bus is running terrible, 6-mile, Grand. The last 3 days I've been making good money. Usually I'm broke in the cab, but when it's snowing and the buses are terrible, 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 I make money. Last 3 days they've been terrible and cold and snowy. Also, I digress on that and want to also say that where is the TTY, whatever they call that, where the people, well, you got an interpreter today, so you don't even need that the words on the screen, whatever you call it. I'm not educated or whatever. I'm just a nobody. Also, people need to be out to inform people how to use Zoom, just like I do every meeting. How to use Zoom. Senior citizens, trying to put them too much trouble and tell them to call this and call that and call this, assist them. Because she had
1
trouble.
minute.
I downloaded the Zoom for her, put the coding in, and it was easy for her at that point. I don't know why I'm concerned. I've never gotten paid for advocating for anyone. I'm not on a salary or degrees. I'm a nobody. But something in me, some spirit in me keeps me out here fighting for my fellow least of these. And I ask each one of this panel and anyone listening in, whoever and whatever demographics or whatever elite you are, to make some phone calls. The other meeting you had this week was too early on Tuesday in the morning. It should be at 5 p.m. just like this meeting. People can't, the sidewalks are messed up. People can't, you want to do, you know, it's just really sad out here, y'all. Y'all
Who's
drive
rap?
to and from work. Please look at what's going on out here. Stop and ask some of these passengers. Get the raw information. People inbox me and I'm not even a transit employee. Mickey, you're good people. You've been here a long time. I ain't saying nothing about you.
That's time. That's time.
And God bless you guys, all right? I love you. I love the city.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cunningham. And I do appreciate the fact that you've been able to get more people to come to the meeting. So we
Thank you, Ms.
appreciate
Mickey.
that. To hear new voices is always welcome and appreciated.
Thank you, Ms. Mickey.
We do. And from the marketing side, we are still, you know, Zoom is still new for some, but we do, at least on our communications, we do include also instructions on Zoom on each of our communications. We know that may not get to everyone, but I do want you to know we are trying. We do include that information.
Okay, the next hand up I see is a number ending in 170.
Hello, everyone. This is Lisa Franklin, Warriors on Wheels, CEO and founder. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm calling this evening regarding paratransit. I just happened to be in the LAC, which is the Local Advisory Council meeting on Tuesday. That is the council that assists people with disabilities and our seniors with issues that they have with the line haul and paratransit. My issue is to support people that are outside of the 3/4 of a mile qualifying area for ADA service. When I was in that meeting on Tuesday, we had seniors and people with disabilities speaking about taking a SMART connector to come in so far because SMART won't come all the way into Detroit. They will take the connector so far and have to get off of the paratransit vehicle to wait for MetroLift to pick them up to go into Detroit, and likewise coming back home. I had a senior mention putting tents out there because there are warming centers, I guess that's what you all call them, where people can connect and transfer, but a lot of those restaurants are closed, so people have to wait out in the cold. There was a gentleman that I know personally who made sure before he moved outside of Detroit that the area where he was moving to was a qualifying area so he could get MetroLift to take him for his business in the city of Detroit. He actually moved and then they changed the qualifying area. It used to be 1 mile. Now it's 3/4 of a mile from the line haul. So paratransit can go out 3/4 of a mile from line haul to take people back and forth. I'm suggesting that you expand that qualifying ADA service area back to 1 mile during COVID, during cold temperatures. Something to try to alleviate the stress on people who are already stressed, our seniors and our people with disabilities to take this service. So I'm suggesting again to expand the qualifying ADA service area from 3/4 of a mile to 1 mile. And that's what it used to be. And I also know that it has nothing to do with federal. This is a conversation between SMART and DDOT. Thank you.
Well, the Stan Lozen, the ADA coordinator, both SMART and DDOT have to comply with FTA regulations, and that 3/4 mile radius has always been the length of distance that has been used. It's never been a mile. I agree that we have some major issue with transferring of people from SMART to DDOT MetroLift service. That is something that I know there's conversation between SMART and our ADA paratransit people. I don't know the exact conversation they're having right now, but I did tell you Tuesday that Pam King would be the person to contact.
Yes.
I will I will personally contact her tonight to let her know. And I believe I have your contact information I can give her so that you can at least engage with her and find out exactly what's going on with that discussion. Because I know initially in October, when we were talking about this issue, because we're kind of anticipating that winter was going to be a big problem, that, we were starting then to try to figure out, who we could get to support us and allow our passengers to, stay in a warm facility. But as Ms. King had said, I believe on Tuesday, that when she jumped in on the meeting, that she got no's from several organizations, restaurants, and it's just been very difficult. But I'll have her contact you and get the conversation going again.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Dara.
Okay.
I believe.
Thank you, everyone.
Do we have Ms. King?
Yes, you do.
Oh, okay. Pam.
Oh,
jump
great.
in, Pam.
Okay. Hello, Ms. Franklin. As I
Hi,
stated,
how are you?
I'm good. I hope you're good and well.
Thank you. Yeah.
As I stated in the meeting Tuesday, I reached out and spoke with Daniel, please forgive me, I think his last name is Whitehouse, who heads paratransit for SMART. He sent me a list of his transfer points that are generally used between SMART and Detroit Metro Left. And Ms. Reeves assisted me from Detroit Metro Left with our list. I then took the two lists, combined them together, and then I went as far as to call each location. The White Castle that's located at Gratiot and 8 Mile, the White Castle does not allow anyone to stand inside. So what I did was found a shelter, a bus shelter, which is located just west of White Castle. When I say just west, it's just west of the building. It's not like you walk another block. So that's a shelter. When I contacted Fairlane, I had been told that they could wait inside of JCPenney's package pickup. That is not true. So I talked to security at Fairlane. They informed me that the main entrance, which is right at PF Chang's and the old Sears, that the main entrance there is open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Again, that's Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. After those times and before those times, those main doors at PF Chang's are locked. So our bus shelter for our city buses are right there at the bus shelter near Macy's. So that would be a secure location for them to get out of the weather. SMART had a location of Tim Hortons at 5 Mile in Redford at Telegraph. That is permanently closed. So there is no waiting. I have no bus shelters over there that I could see. I even went further down on 5 Mile. In their location, I could find no bus shelters. For Providence Hospital, the main entrance is at 9 Mile in Providence. Directly in the middle of 9 Mile at Providence is a bus shelter. Even if you go in, I can't remember the street in the back of after 9 Mile. But the main entrance is at 9 Mile in Providence. They do not allow anyone to stand inside, but there is a bus shelter mid-block on 9 Mile. It's headed eastbound. And forgive me, the White Castle at 8 Mile in Gratiot is headed westbound, okay? There's another White Castle at Woodward and in Ferndale, Woodward in 8 Mile area.
Yes.
They do acknowledge that there's a particular client who has always been there and would wait inside. He does not try to get inside, but if they see him, they will let him in, but they do not allow anyone in due to their regulations. So for the White Castle at Woodward and 8 Mile, I use the State Fair Transit Center, which is mid-block of Woodward between 8 Mile and State Fair. There they can have shelter. Also for SMART, there's a McDonald's they used at 4th Street in Lincoln Park that is no longer open. Then for 8 Mile the Bel Air Shopping Center on 8 Mile Road. They do not let anyone in, the Foreman Mills, because I was given Foreman Mills. At 8 Mile at the Bel Air Shopping Center, right there at 8 Mile and Beach, V like Vicky, EACH, 8 Mile and Beach, V like in Vicky, EACH, 3/4 mid-block, headed eastbound, there is a bus shelter. That is all we have for transfer points. And I, like I said, I use Smart's list, our list, and then I made the calls. That is the locations. I did send that off to Don to send out to the chair people. That is our locations.
Okay, so are any of those shelters heated? It's really
No, ma'am.
rhetorical because I know they are, right. So my thing is this, since you are talking with Smart, right now during COVID and these cold temperatures, why can't it be expanded 1/4 of a mile? We're talking about thousands of people that it would probably help out that wouldn't have to be in the cold temperatures or exposed to anyone during this pandemic if it's just extended 1/4 of a mile.
But under federal regulations, as Mr. Lawson stated, federal regulations state 3/4 of a mile.
So did it change from 1/2 mile to 3/4?
No, ma'am.
Because
We are going to have to take this. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The time is up.
Okay.
So that's going to be a
That's fine.
conversation for another time.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Okay, the next hand up is Ted Tansley.
Hi, thanks for the time today. First, I wanted to point out that the Zoom call-in number on the website was wrong, and it didn't match the PDF that was on the site. It actually sent me to a professional matchmaking service instead of this call until I figured out how to do the meeting ID. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Secondly, I wanted to say that I really appreciate that you all are making efforts to be more transparent with us and to show us your what you have down the pipeline, what you're interested in trying to do, and letting us know the intent of reinstating fares. But I wanted to ask if DDOT could show us that clear connection that we must raise fares soon or immediately due to financial constraints. You're saying that you're looking at the data and Mr. Oglesby is looking at the information and making that determination. If you could show us that data, show us the information, prove to us, sell that point to us so that we understand what's going on, that would be really appreciated. Especially if it's due to financial constraints, you have the information. And we know that you've received, CARES Act money and additional emergency funds. So it'd be really great to understand where everything's going, and so that we know the status of things, state of the budget, and that we know that we need to raise fares. And then also after raising fares, it'd be great to know how much of that budget gap is being filled by the fare reinstatement. My presumption is that it won't be the full amount. So where will we be after that, and what will be the next steps for there? Thank you.
Okay, I'll chime in. And so I don't have the answers to those questions, so I would definitely refer back to our executive level to get you some clear and concise answers. I don't want to give you any misleading or opinionated responses at this point, Ted. So I thank you for your concerns. They are legitimate. And if you can have your email address forwarded to Iobami, we can get you a response. And once again, I'm Andre Mallet from Operations.
Can we clarify though, Mr. Mallet? I feel like unless it was, you misspoke that he was saying that we're raising fares and that has not been brought up.
Correct. So I do want to reiterate. So there is no intention or plan to raise fares. That is not the intention of our resuming of our fares. So we basically would like to resume our current fare structure that we have put a moratorium due to the pandemic. We have been in discussion. And so a decision have not been made exactly on when that's going to take place. It isn't, we do have plans to do it in the immediate future. However, a decision has not been made at this point, but there has never been a plan to increase the fare structure as it currently stands.
Also, Mary Ann Walsh here, Deputy Director for Administration. Mr. Tansley, I just wanted to add that DDOT suspended fare collection for the safety of the driver. We instituted rear door boarding so that we could keep distance from the driver and the riders. Now that we have taken measures to improve safety, which included, as Mr. Mallett said, masks, vaccines, barriers, and hand sanitization, it is now safe to resume fares and front door boarding.
And just to add one more thing, before we do resume fares, we will be communicating this information as well as the details of the steps we've taken to ensure that boarding through the front is safe, and that we have installed some safety measures to make sure both operators and riders are safe. And that will happen prior to resuming fares. So we will be communicating that. Thank you.
Okay, the next hand up is Renard. Oops. It's giving me an error message. 1 second.
Come on, CC.
Renard, I don't suppose you, if you, let me, whoops. Sorry, one moment, please.
Do you need me to unmute?
Okay, I'm all good. Can y'all hear me?
Go ahead, yeah.
Hi, my name is Renard Mashensky. I'm the organizer of the Transit Justice Team with Detroit People's Platform. And I'm also a bus rider myself. I've been a bus rider for over 15 years. So when I speak in this forum, it's always about speaking up for people that cannot be in the space with the expertise that my team and I have and built over the years in getting people into this meeting. I really do appreciate the efforts of DDOT to make information a little bit more transparent. But what I feel is not transparent is the rationale for resuming fares. I'm going to be clear because I ain't saying raising fares. I'm saying resuming fares. Y'all know what we are saying. There's pushback, reasonable pushback against this because I don't see a plan from DDOT in terms of increasing frequency and ridership, or rather correcting the declining service. No-show buses and passengers being passed up. That's a major issue, and nobody wants to be passed up by a bus, but yet they're being asked to pay $2 for fare. And even then, that's not even going to fund the system. Our fares go into the transportation fund. That's what the Office of Financial OFCO, I don't even, all these abbreviations, right? So my thing is, what happened to the CARES Act money that was supposed to buff it up? And it seems to me that the city has taken that money to create budget shortfall, to patch budget shortfalls instead of using the money for its intended purpose. And government doesn't already have a good reputation for being a good steward of our money. In fact, it's the opposite. They're a poor steward of our money. So how can we as passengers trust the department to keep us safe? And you're rushing to collect fares. Y'all wanted to do it in January, but there's no plan to stop people from being passed up. And I'm not going to accept that joy riders are the issue, because you're pitting homeless riders against riders that have a little bit more means. We're all suffering as well.
Please wrap.
So my thing is, what is going to be done to increase the actual quality of service before you're asking us to shell out money for an investment that's not giving a return on our investment, or rather not getting people to work in this pandemic, in this recession? Thank you.
Thanks, Renard. I just wanted to say really quickly, since we have discontinued fares in March, we have taken several opportunities to improve service. So since our original cut of service, which was again due to the pandemic, we have taken several, we have had a couple service changes where we have been able to resume resume service levels on all of our top 10 routes. So the Connect 10 routes are all still at the frequency that they were at pre-COVID. And then, as we mentioned before, we just had a service change that started on the 8th of this month, which was all improvements. So although we still are not at the full pre-COVID service levels, we have taken several steps to get some service back out there.
Okay, so 7 Mile at night gets really bad. That's close to my neighborhood. So just want to kind of give attention to that. I did notice improvements on the Plymouth, which needed service long ago. And I also want to thank the department for reaching back to me about the Fort 19 issue, about the driver kind of waiting at the end of the line too long while people are waiting outside in 20-degree weather like that as well. So has there been any follow-up on that Fort 19 bus? And then there should be a communication to the riders. You're asking us to pay money for a service that's not 100% up to par.
Bernard, your time.
I think so. We're hearing a lot about fare, and we will. I think, as Mr. Mallett mentioned earlier, we will take some steps to make sure we're communicating the details of the fare change, of the fare resumption, because we are not changing fare, as Ted mentioned earlier. So we can work with our leadership team to make sure we're providing some information that you all are requesting. And we can, we'll explore working on that for you, because I think, yes, we're hearing the information. We can provide it. At the moment, we don't have all those details, but we can work on providing that. Before we resume fare, we will be effectively communicating that fare is resuming.
Can we get access to the information too? Because it's very opaque. We don't know.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying we'll work on. So hearing the questions that we've received tonight about some more details on the fare resumption, we can absolutely work on that with our leadership team. And then in general, to just make sure riders are prepared for us to resume fare, we will be circulating and letting people know that the fare is coming back before it happens.
Has there been any effort in the budget, city council budget process to ask for DDOT for more money than the 143 that y'all are getting annually as well? Because if y'all actually fought for more funding instead of lowballing it, we would have
Bernard, to be fair, I cut everyone else at 2 minutes, and you
let people speak.
I've been graceful with the time. You have gone over 2 minutes, okay? I just want to make sure we have less than 10 minutes left in this meeting. You know how to reach us. We can definitely, continue the dialogue, but not at this time.
Numbers. That's all I'm asking. Thank
Okay, there is one hand up that hasn't had a chance to speak yet, and that's Moto E. You are unmuted.
You are unmuted.
Moto E, are you there? Okay.
If you can hear us and if you're having difficulties, you may put your question in the chat or email us later. Is there anyone else who has not spoken tonight? We have 5 minutes.
Everybody with their hand up has already spoken.
Okay. Yes, we hear you. Would you like to make your comment or question?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to know about the shoveling of the bus stops, because yesterday I was getting off the Grand River bus and fell in the snow. And it ain't shoveled over there or on Woodward either. They need to be shoveled at the bus stops because people falling and stuff.
Okay, this is Larry Lucky, Vehicle Maintenance Assistant Director for DDOT. I will definitely, it was a caller earlier that mentioned the bus stop shelters being plowed in. I will definitely address that with our GSD group and see if there's something we can do as it relates to that. I mean, when they plow my driveway in, so I know, what you guys are going through. So we will definitely erase that with the proper people and see if we can get something done there.
And then Where's the agenda? You know, y'all usually have the agenda papers and stuff. We ain't got it this time. For the meeting.
Yeah, we didn't have an agenda posted today, but
Okay.
we can work on.
We apologize too. We're kind of reassigning website access. So we'll be able to, we went through some training today. We'll be able to take more control of that. So we'll be able to kind of, even with the issue with the number. So we'll have a little bit more control of that from moving forward.
How is everybody doing tonight?
We're great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good to hear from you. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, you know, my birthday just passed too. February 1st is my birthday. So
Happy birthday.
thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I ain't see y'all in a minute. Y'all all look different now.
I think that is a great note to end tonight. I do want to give the opportunity to my colleagues to make any final remarks as we close. Is there?
I just
anyone
I want to reiterate, a lot of you have probably received an email from me in the last week or two with just a flyer about the transit center location. So if you don't mind sharing that through your network, we would greatly appreciate it. And then also to Cunningham's point, for those who don't regularly attend, we appreciate your attendance tonight. So we have this meeting on the third Thursday of every month, starting at 5 p.m. And we would love to continue to hear from you guys, hear your suggestions and your input. So please come back and
I
join
didn't
us.
get an email from you, Nikki. I didn't get an email from you about the updates and stuff.
Okay, I'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, with that, we are going to close for tonight. Again, thank you all for joining us. Our next meeting will take place Thursday, March 18th. Please continue to be safe. Remember that you can call us, email us anytime. You don't have to wait until next month. Good night, everyone.
Good
Bye.
night.
Thank you. Good night, all.
Andre, you read my email, my text I sent you.